Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So I'm going to do a couple more video book recommendations or quick reviews, given that I think some people find it quite beneficial and a lot of people do not like reading, unfortunately. So rather than doing some postings, which I usually do on my social media page, I'll try and do like a quick 1 minute or 3 minute video summarizing a book and what I found beneficial or helpful from it. So again, if anyone wants to read more or have any questions, yeah, that's what I'm looking to do, because I think it's quite important for Muslims to develop critical thinking skills. As someone who I've been studying Islam for over 15 years, almost 20 years now. I was fortunate enough to study Islamic law and Islamic history in Egypt and at Azhar almost 20 years ago now, subhanAllah. But one of the things I've noticed that a number of Muslims do not read or do not like reading, and a lot of people's understanding of Islam comes from listening to online preachers or people giving snippets, and a lot of Muslims lack the ability to develop critical thinking skills or challenge certain opinions that are scholarly opinions, but they're based on maybe their own cultural norms or personal preferences or biases, or not realize that some opinions are relevant in a certain cultural context that's not necessarily relevant for everyone, and being able to differentiate between an opinion that is not necessarily binding or is not necessarily representative of Islam, or that might be someone's opinion that you don't necessarily need to follow, as opposed to what is objective, factually universal, and from the religion, because you'll find that there's a lot of opinions, even amongst scholars, that are based on their own independent reasoning, which may be correct, may not be correct, Allah knows best, but it's not necessarily binding upon everyone, especially for those of us who are living in countries outside of Muslim majority countries, or we're living in a different time period in the modern world. Is very different to the pre-modern era, where, especially in relation to male-female relations, where a number of the pre-modern scholars viewed marriage as being a clear hierarchy, where men were considered to be dominant and women were considered to be subservient, and many scholars described marriage as being akin to slavery. And again, a number of Muslims nowadays, that's not really the type of relationship or marriage that they're looking for. They're looking for a more egalitarian or partnership marriage, which is based on mutual compassion, pleasure, and love, as outlined in the Quran, that marriage should be based on love, compassion, and tranquility, as opposed to it being like a transactional type of marriage. So again, this is why it's important, I think, for Muslims to develop critical thinking skills. Of course, we do appreciate and love our tradition, and we love what our scholars of the past have said, but one needs to contextualize many of these statements or comments from the past, and know that not everything that is said in the past you necessarily need to adopt it or apply it in modern day context. And having the ability to read classical texts and knowing what is based on one's culture, one's opinion, and that which is unbinding. But again, there are a lot of benefits one can gain from reading classical texts. I do follow, and most of my obviously understanding it is from classical texts and classical scholars, but I don't follow or accept everything or all of their views or assumptions. Again, so I just wanted to talk about that, because a number of Muslims, like I said, feel threatened when someone is talking about something that goes against maybe a classical scholar that's well regarded or well known. So that's why, again, I don't like to do a lot of videos, but I'm thinking I might do some more, because again, a lot of people don't like reading. So putting things down on paper, as much as I might think that I've done my job, a lot of people still won't receive the message, because people like to hear things. So I might do a couple more videos again on my YouTube page, and I might put them out on my other social media platforms. So stay tuned for that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.